I'm a firm believer of brand Bharat and brand India. I'm mad about it to another level. I'm extreme. 77 years of India's freedom. This is 78th year running. India has not created one consumer-facing, high-end designed luxury brand in the world. Not even one. Consumer-facing. Ek bhi nahi hai.
I can't think.
LVMH, a Dior, a Gucci, a Armani, a Fendi.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying fashion. I'm saying any uber luxury brand. Right. Indians supply fabrics, garments, textiles, everything at the back end.
Even software.
Front end, everything. They do a genius, aluminium. I mean, they do a genius job of it. But when it comes to front end, high-end design, Indians are nowhere there. I aspire to create that brand. That's the madness on my head. Because I believe Indians have a herd mentality. मैंने एक ने वो तोड़ा है, break that glass ceiling once. 100 more from Delhi will follow me. And then Maharashtra and all over India. And that is going to change the dynamics of a country. Indians should be in high-end luxury. Why not?
Folks, welcome to PaisaVaisa. I'm your host Anupam Gupta, and on today's episode, we continue on our sub-series on how businesses work. My guest, Jimmy Mistry, the man behind Della Resorts, Data Resorts, and many, believe me, many more businesses. We're going to talk about all of these businesses, including adventure, themed and luxury, and resorts, how they work. Jimmy, welcome to PaisaVaisa. Thank you so much for doing this for our audience.
Anupam, such a pleasure to be here.
What a fantastic opportunity to meet someone who's done varied multiple businesses. It's very difficult for me to keep a track. When I went to your website, I just saw the timeline that was there. And you started, in furniture. And you've brought a lot of brands from abroad to India as well, worked with them. Interiors, theme parks, and now you're doing theme-based townships and a lot more. So walk us through your journey, Jimmy. It's very interesting.
So the journey is pretty simple. Come from a middle-class Parsi family. Simple, typical Parsi father who worked in one company, Sarabhay Chemicals, for 33 years. Till then, I compelled him to take a premature retirement and join me in business. So that's the background. Nothing much in education to tom-tom about. I'm a college dropout. I did my mechanical engineering from a very nice Bihari college that made me Sarvagun Sampan in Nagpur. And from there, so nothing to talk about. I dropped out of my formal education. Of course, I finished my final year, but I still had a couple of subjects to clear, and I just dropped it because that diploma, in my opinion, with the diploma, without the diploma, would have been the same for me in life, right? So that was then. And have worked on a couple of things, but from the beginning, the ideology was to create something unique. And that's been my trait. So if you go to my school career, and even today, if you meet my classmates, they'll still remember my cycle. Okay. So it was unique. I took a standard bike and started modifying it. Wow. It started from 8th standard and went on till 10th. And 10th, it was at par to the magazine cover that I had identified from. So my traits were same. I did the same in my college about a standard Yamaha bike. And the Yamaha bike was modified for racing. I got into professional motocross racing. And I modified. Right. So my whole life is all about modifications and trying to create a product which is pretty unique and stands out. There is a moat.
Okay.
So I realized very early in India that there was nobody importing furniture in the country. Everybody used to get it illegally under transfer of residence those days. Poor laborers were made to do transfer of residence, which was fake. And all our money would be transferred, and then people would get in their imported furniture. That was then. I'm talking of 96, 95, 96. I saw an opportunity, and there was no official representative of these companies in India. I traveled to Italy for the first time. I'd never been to Europe, forget about Italy. And managed to convince one company to give me their agency in India. उन्होंने भी सोचा रहेगा कि ये बंदा कौन आया है, हमारा कोई market नहीं है, सामने चल के कोई agency ले रहा है. And I did the same thing with 27 Italian companies. So I was the first Italian furniture showroom in India, official. I also did one more thing which was ahead of the time. In 96, I visited Milan and saw the Milan Fair. Okay. And I realized कि ऐसा भी होता है. कभी जिंदगी में fair देखा नहीं था.
Fashion.
The Milan Fair was on furniture. It was on interiors and furniture. Okay, And those days it was the old Milan Fiera grounds. And it kind of dimag ki batti jal gayi. Can we do a smaller version here? So the 27 Italian companies I had signed up, I said, I will do an exhibition and will you just come to India and participate?
Right.
Half of the jokers had to buy their own tickets to call them to India because for them India was not a market. Yeah. So we hired the whole of Nehru Center and I created the entire exhibition on my own.
Wow.
So today, reflecting back, if somebody were to tell me that would I get into an exhibition business? Of course not. But those days we had the guts to do anything. Yeah. The sky was the limit. We could do just with no resources, no money in our pockets, but the sheer thought process. And every architect in India began to recognize me because the only official Italian furniture supplier, and I just didn't pick up furniture. With furniture, I picked up accessories, leather, hardware, and it was fantastic for me to go and visit for each of the companies I represented. So much amount of learning happened. I got a chance to visit their factories.
Yeah.
So somebody like Pultrona Frau that India recognizes now as a brand, I visited Pultrona Frau factories in '96. I saw a green laser light guided cutting machine on leather, and उस जमाने में laser क्या था मालूम नहीं था. So things, we were ahead of our time.
Yeah.
And because of these 27 companies, got a lot of knowledge in design, got to understand design ideologies, philosophies, branding, marketing of companies, and then representing the products here. It was nice, but so from the beginning of my career, I always try to figure out a moat. And the minute others get into it, for me, there is no juice left in it. So we got into manufacturing, and everything I'd learned in manufacturing with those companies, we translated the knowledge from a carpenter's petty, first a 2,000 square feet workshop, a truck garage I'd converted to a workshop in Nagpur, to the Daman factory when I got Star TV as my first client, and then one factory on hire, and the second factory, we purchased off both the factories a couple of years later. So that's been the journey. So whichever businesses we are in, we try and identify a moat, and that goes on even today.
Yeah. Cut to 2008, 2009, which is when I'm assuming that Della, the original Della Resorts and Villas is what you thought of, right? Now, if I remember correctly, this was the time when you had Lavasa and Ambi in Maharashtra. I think they were a few years prior to that, probably 2006, 7, if my memory serves me right. All of them had this massive vision that it'll be near Bombay and it'll be this and it'll be that. And we know what happened after that. So what were you thinking when you did Della? When you already could make out that this might be a little bit more,
Let me give you a little antecedents and history to it. So I was an architect for Subrata Roy Sahara. I have done a lot of work for him.
Wow.
2004 was my first presentation to Subrata on setting up an adventure park and how he was struggling to build one villa at a time. How we could build 100 villas getting a polystyrene construction technology. So I went to Austria, studied it, went to Italy, decided to import the plant, and I did a presentation to Subrata with the whole board. How can we go ahead and do 100 villas within a year?
For him to do at Ambi?
Ambi.
Okay.
And how can we do an adventure park at Ambi? Okay. So that was 2004, way before I even came up with Della. Sahara was a slightly different organization, and perhaps Sahara, she was a visionary, but perhaps he couldn't kind of fathom our ability to be able to do something like this. So when 2008-9 recession happened, that's where I decided to take a plunge and do up the adventure park for myself. And that's how Della Adventure was born in 2009, and Camp Della Resort was a tented resort in 2010, and that's how Della Villas came about.
Why adventure resorts at that point of time? Of course, now here we are sitting in 2024. And pretty much most people in Bombay have either been to Della or know what it's about and always have a good time out there. What were you thinking then? Because you've got a background of furniture, setting up a lot of places, interior. I know that in some way construction is there, but was there any thought process or just a Moat thing?
Again, it was a classic case of passion turned into business. And again, Italy has played a role, because as a motocross rider during my college days when I used to ride, the passion was there. And when I would go to Italy to work and travel across the smallest and biggest of places, one thing I learned from the Italians that everybody, no matter what age, unlike Indians, don't give up sports. Men, whether they are 40, they still play football or they still go cycling and the family. So the whole differentiating factor between our life in India, what I had studied and understood, to those guys, because Saturdays and Sundays, they would actually go out there and play things. And that's where I could get to see motocross riding tracks. And I said, oh, really? So without a race, people actually go and ride. That was the first seed sown in my head. And I always wondered why India didn't have a motocross racing track. We would put up a track only for a race, and then it would be gone.
Correct.
So there will be no place where people for fun can go and ride.
A bunch of them down south, I think.
Yes, now. So speed racing tracks have been there, but dirt bike racing tracks were never there. So the first thing Della I wanted to set up was that. I was always very fond of animals, horses, and I would never understand as to why I can't ride horses with my family. Why do I need to go to a Jew chopati or here or there those days? And the most rubbish of horses, why can't we have a good horse without getting into horse racing? I'm talking about just ability to learn and ride a horse. Right. And then why can't we have different breeds of dogs and take the dogs for a walk? It would be a fantastic thing for the animal and for us both. So these are the fundamental things with which we started adventure. And then we started researching what else is not there. So it came about swoop swing is not there, which is in New Zealand. Bungee jumping is not there. And we did a zipline is not there. And zipline is fairly easy to set up. Mixing engineering knowledge and talent, structural knowledge and manufacturing knowledge became very easy for me to actually design these activities and implement. So we never went to China to buy a ready kit, or we never went to somebody else to buy a ready kit. We always identified things, designed and put it up together.
Yeah.
And that's how Della Adventure Park has been running without a single incident, touch wood, for the last
Touch wood
15 years now.
Touch wood. What about funding? Okay, now here we are in 2024 and if there's someone who's listening to this out there and says, I want to do it, he'll go to Shark Tank or friends and family, something or the other. You had nothing at that point of time.
Nothing.
I'm trying to understand. And these
the first generation entrepreneurs nightmare.
The businesses that you mentioned, okay, aside from the ones at the starting which might have been trading, you could probably manage with some low capital requirement, maybe go to a bank and all. But once you're entering into this, where did you get money from? So, and if I caught you right, your father, you said, worked in Sarabhai Chemicals.
When my dad took a premature retirement, I think his salary was $35,000.
Did you go to him and say, Dad, give me so much money?
No. There's nobody to go to. I mean, and coming from a Parsi background, had I been a Kutchi or a Jain or a Sindhi, I could have had some community members supporting. But so those days, I still remember my first loan was from Mumbai Mercantile Cooperative Bank. I think the figure was 30 lakhs. And the chairman was a Bawa. He helped me out, Edelji Turel. I had no collateral. And RBI stipulated a collateral. So they took out my insurance policy, and LIC policy was taken and given as a collateral to the bank. So that was my first seed capital funding that I got. And then we papad belowed and moved. Did every single thing that we could to keep generating the capital investments I required to grow, be it setup of the factory. Like I said, the factory was on rent, and then we earned and we grew each month and year. All that capital went back. When we started Della Resorts, at that point in time, our banking, we moved to Bank of Baroda.
Sure.
God bless his soul, I came across MD Malia.
Oh my, the banking legend.
Yes, the legend.
Wow.
And that legend didn't know me from Adams, but just because I went to Bank of Baroda for a loan of 50 crores, a gratis meeting with the chairman was sought, who's this entrepreneur.
50 crores.
And 50 crores was the limit that time. Because we wanted to set up the resort.
Okay.
And we came up with the collateral and the margin money and struggling budget to put it together. Malia Saab met me and we clicked. He didn't know me from Adams. I didn't know him from Adams, but he was an angel. He became a friend, philosopher and guide.
Wow.
He is the man who actually supported me. He believed in my vision. He would come to Della for every inauguration. So we inaugurated the banquet hall, the ballroom. He and his lovely wife would come down to Della and support. So the loan went from 50 crores to 80 crores and we still worked. Then we crossed the threshold and the limit and we moved to another bank, Bharat Cooperative Bank, and from there we increased the number of room inventories. And then we moved to another institution. We recently moved to Kotak and Piramal with a 255 crore loan. The whole idea is, as far as every rupee borrowed is invested back in the business, you can't go wrong with it. And if your business is throwing up cash flows, so you grow. Now we are ready to get our company pre-IPO and then go into an IPO. We are looking for an equity placement in the company. We've done reasonable top lines and reasonable EBITDA margins. So with a 70 crore EBITDA, we should be able to.
So how important was this focus on... See, because if you're taking this kind of lending, obviously your balance sheet needs to be rock solid. Your cash flows need to be rock solid. And the banker who's signing on your file needs to be convinced that Jimmy's got a great idea. And I want to be someone who's backing that because he knows he's going to get his loan back. How important was this focus on numbers and ensuring that you repay your loan on time? Obviously, you've not defaulted. It's been 15 plus years.
No, my career is now 28 years. I started in 91.
I'm saying with the loan probably. Let's just say.
And in all loans, right from the beginning.
You think that is important?
It's a very critical thing. Establishing a track record, because the first thing a banker does is, irrespective of your current financial balance sheet, of course, that's very critical. He goes into your history. And that's very, very critical. What is your reputation? Everything in business is about reputation. Be it with clients, be it with employees, be it with vendors, every single way. So reputation precedes you. So that's critical. Also, a kind of an astute entrepreneurial mindset. a stable mindset is very, very critical. You cannot be a fly-by-night operator and expect to be successful for years. You can only get success limited and you'll crash down. Of course, there are ups and downs. Nothing is easy. Every rupee borrowed is huge amount of responsibility and huge amount of sleepless nights it gives you, especially when you go through the cycles of ups and downs. And as a first generation entrepreneur, I think every entrepreneur has had to go through this grind. There is no choice. All you require is you need more and more and more money because you got more ideas brewing and you're investing them in business and your ideas are working also. So people accept it, but there is a constant tussle. So, and there is no other way to grow. So if I started from a 30-room resort and today we are 306 rooms operational and putting another 15 more rooms, there is no other option but to keep going ahead and extend your borrowing. As far as your intentions are clear, your value system is properly based, I think people can read through you.
Sure.
So I'm not saying we've not been in difficult times. In the worst of difficult times, we've had this kind of decency to sit across and talk and explain as to why momentarily these are difficult times. COVID was a very difficult time. And our bankers supported.
I mean,
extremely difficult time. Our bankers supported rock solid. We had Bharat Cooperative Bank and rock solid support they've given us. So I think by and large, like I said, your reputation precedes you. People can also read through you. As far as you're not taking the money and blowing it, as far as you're not taking the money and investing in somebody else's stock.
Interesting. You're saying that, so that actually speaks of you accepting there are people smarter than you.
Of course, yes.
For a lot of entrepreneurs, they feel that
anybody who has more money than you is more smarter than you. So I keep telling my people, every client, every interior project or design project that we've done across, I keep saying the client is at least 100x smarter. If his balance sheet is 100x bigger than you, then he's 100x smarter than you. And you have to respect it because they come with that bandwidth. It's not just the money and the balance sheet size. Balance sheet size also directly or indirectly associated with management bandwidth and management foresight and capacity. You respect your clients like that.
Okay. I want you to explain to us, how do you size up an opportunity? How do you size up a market? Like when you started Della, what did you think? I mean, there's a fancy thing nowadays. They call it TAM, Target Addressable Market. I don't know what it is. You'd know it better than me. How do you size up an opportunity? Like you would say, okay, this is something where I think that I want to set up something.
Well, there are a lot of MR companies. You can use
market research.
All the market research companies you can use. There are a lot of parameters that are there of established businesses that you can use. I have not used any of the above ever.
I kind of figured,
I never use it and I don't believe in using it.
You go on instinct or?
Not just instinct. I go on the uniqueness of the product and the offering I'm creating.
Very interesting.
So if I create an adventure park that didn't exist in India, झक मार के वो चेन्नई से भी, कोयम्बटूर से भी, पंजाब से भी, दिल्ली से भी आने वाला है, उसको कोई choice नहीं है.
Okay.
He's a adventure lover. He'll travel across, and he's not coming to Lonavala. He's not coming to see a mountain or a picturesque hill station. He's coming for the adventure. Same way in hospitality, he's coming for the luxury. He's coming for the experiential hospitality. He's coming for the gastronomic food and delights. So you create uniqueness in your products. When you're manufacturing, my manufacturing factory in Daman manufactures, and ever since the advent of China, it's never impacted me. I've never bothered. I've taken on the competition head on. It's never bothered me because there's always uniqueness in the product over and above what they can offer. I've never competed on the cost front. Right. So if you're so sure of your product, you do not do a dipstick in MR and don't believe in MR because MR will only give you the traditional method of measuring it. They yet not know what they do not know. So an MR company will yet not know what experiential hospitality is because they've never experienced it.
Yes.
Right.
Let's walk through. So first came Della Resorts. Then I believe there's an extreme adventure park.
That's the adventure activities. And we honed our skill sets and we said we should only make it into extreme adventure. So be it dirt bike riding, ATV, motocross bikes, zip lines. We have got vertical rappelling, mountain rappelling. We started night rappelling, our obstacle course. Then we've got 360-degree whirl. Then we went to New Zealand and got swoop swinging.
Okay.
So it's a 100 feet drop and then there is a pendulum swing. And then we got bungee jumping. So we've got 150 feet bungee jump. We got garden in the sky, so 150 feet restaurant up in the sky. All of these are extreme adventure activities.
For a lot of people today in India, they kind of get jittery because of some very unfortunate incidents that have been happening. Once in a while you read. It's just that so for 99 things that have gone right, nobody focuses on that.
I don't blame them. Safety standards are very, very poor. Most of the people operating these places or brands operating these places, they operate on an outsource model. Outsource is all fly-by-night operators who Goa में 4 jet ski लेके बेचारा धंधा चला रहा है. कोई मर गया, कोई डूब गया तो गया, वो जेट स्की का धंधा बंद करके दूसरे बीच पे जाएगा. Brand cannot do that, right? We have everything at risk. Once we put our name to it, so 100% of activities at Della are run in-house. 100% of activities have been set up in-house. So testing, machining, engineering, skills, everything is in-house. When you're committed to it, chances of you going wrong are freaky low. You know, if something has to go wrong, it'll go wrong, but you mitigate every possible option. एक rope से काम नहीं चलता, अब 2 rope लगाओ. There's always a safety. You only use pretzel equipment. You don't use a normal helmet. You don't go for the cheapest. Because of course you want to make money. Making money at the cost of even one human life, it would forget about the legal side. I think the emotional trauma at my end would be at par to what the family is. Because our kids go out, right? Can you imagine the trauma that I would think if in Dubai something were to happen to my kid?
I know.
Right?
You're right.
So
it's like a personal brand.
Absolutely. It's everything. I mean, what face will I show to my guest if something goes wrong? So the whole idea is if you assume responsibility like that and then you lay down checks and balances, but unfortunately everything in India is a hota hai, chalta hai mindset and outsource kar do. वो outsource के चक्कर में those fly-by-night operators are only going to try and maximize their profits. I don't blame them.
And the consequences, na, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा क्या होगा?
Consistent training, equipments which are in-house. You need to stay committed to the cause. You cannot take the job lightly or at the end of the day into dangerous activities.
And I'm assuming that your staff is also trained by certain standards.
Extremely well trained. Let me give you an example. Not just trained. We have a quick actions response team,
QRT,
like the QRT.
Yeah.
For anything in Maharashtra, natural calamity, we depute our people. We've got more than 100 employees who are ready to go with their own gear. Invariably, accident victims which have fallen down into valleys, our teams are called to exhume those bodies and take them up.
Your team?
Yeah, it's our team. It's to the government of Maharashtra, 24 hours a day, ready, available. And they are on autopilot mode. We have got our own cars, own vehicles, own ropes. So what happens is the action that we can do, whether during floods, whether during landslides, all the landslides in Maharashtra, we've responded. And we've always been at the forefront and they don't need approvals. Everything is pre-approved. The cafe guy knows how to give backup for the food, supplies, and our boys are super.
Sure.
So it's such things we are the first ones to respond to.
Okay, great. Let's move to the villas now. Okay, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. What was the progress on that? What was your business model there?
So design has always been our business. Trying to create a gated community. I've been visiting gated communities across, and the Arabian ranches when it was set up. I remember visiting Dubai multiple times to study what's happening there. How can we create a gated community here? What are the parameters one should think of and control? So Della phase 1 was done with just 24 villas. Today when we are done with everything, it's 90 villas. But with the rest of the townships coming up, we'll exceed 1,000 villas. With different locations, be it Pune, be it Alibag, be it Goa. I think there's a fantastic trend going on globally, which is on branded residences, and that's what we are working on. We are coming up with the first branded residential tower of Della brand in Pune at Darumbre. And after that, every single township that we set up, we are putting branded residences. Some of the most prolific people in Maharashtra are at Della Villas. So they found value in what we've done. From our current Chief Minister's villa being there to our other politicians, Kapil Patil, Pratap Sarnaik, all are there. And some of the most prolific entrepreneurs are there. The largest textile guy in India, the largest jeweler in India, so many of them are there. And I think the whole concept, a triangular concept of real estate, which is plotted villa developments, the resort and the adventure park. These are the 3 legs on which our entire Della brand has been built up. And now we've added gastronomy and entertainment.
Okay.
So that becomes experiential hospitality that supports these villas.
What is the price range I'm looking at for the villa? Because you don't have too many of them.
Yeah, we are sold out now. There's nothing available with us. But different cities, you're talking of a 5,000 square feet land costing about 3 crores. And whatever cost you spend on building the villa, either we build it for you, you do it with the parameters and the design norms that we've decided. You spend about another 3 crores, about 6 to 7 crores is the range. But depends. What is the size but like I said, if you do a 4,000 square feet built up, that's the kind of cost you're talking about, 6 to 7 crores. But people are not going to pay you 6 to 7 crores just for the land and the villa. They're paying you because they are amidst a 5-star resort. They are paying you because you're giving them 4 restaurants to eat in, which are operated by you. They are giving it to you because you are giving them an adventure park and entertainment. You got 5-star engineering, 5-star security. So they are giving you for a package is why they are coming there.
Sure.
They're also giving it to you because as a real estate developer, if they do this investment, you can assure them a 5% return. That's a difficult choice for any real estate developer to assure. The only reason we as Della are able to assure it is because we run hospitality as an independent business.
Sure.
And because of running hospitality, if you give me your villa, I can give you a 5% return for the next 6 years or 10 years.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that the land, there are 2 aspects to this. One is scouting the land, acquiring the land. I'm assuming that involves some amount of...
So Della, we don't do that.
Okay.
We've come up with a DM model, a development management model. Landowners invite us. They give us a development management assignment.
Okay.
And we take over the design, development, construction, branding, marketing, sales and operations for the next 20 years.
Okay.
So that's the model. So land is his, investment is his. There are 2 places where we are working on JV, for which we are raising pre-IPO capital to do 2 townships. One is Alibag and one is Pauna. I'm also very, very excited personally with the idea of outskirts of Gurgaon. So these are some of the cities where we are eyeing. Jaipur and Hyderabad.
Yeah.
So that's the excitement. Because there is a lot of scope for establishing an experiential hospitality brand that we are already. And within the cities, to do a 2-3 lakh square feet, which is usually typically 1 acre to 2 acre plot, Della branded residential tower.
Okay.
So these 2 things are super exciting for us right now.
Okay. So you said that the landowner comes to you, you develop it for them.
Across.
And then do you sell it? Do you just charge your fees and you're
No,
out?
we sell everything for them.
Okay.
So 15% goes to us, 85% goes to the landowner and the investor, whoever is there.
Very interesting.
So that's the combination. That's known as a DM model, which is what now Della is giving DM models across India.
Okay.
We've been approached right up to Simla.
Very interesting. I mean, I don't hear of this often. Or is that how the...
Yeah, DM model does exist. It's not been... The product offering is not strong enough with other players.
Okay.
And because we come with adventure as a core competency and experiential hospitality as a core competency, Della weddings as a core competency.
Yeah.
So if today Jimmy Mistry were to put up something in Simla, my 40 Muhurts of weddings would be sold out because that's the reputation we've established.
Wow, okay.
And same as corporate MICE segment, we have about 800 corporates which are our regular clients from Google to Microsoft of the world.
Sure.
So for a multi-pronged client tie-up is what would assure us if you were to set up something in Nagpur or to set up something in Simla. It doesn't matter.
Okay. DM stands for?
Development Management.
Development Management. Okay. So Glamping. 2018 Glamping. What? I mean, I did some basic research, but I couldn't... Glamorous. What is...
So the first glamping trend was way before 2018. Camp Della Resort in 2009, 30 rooms that we set up. So in India, traditionally, all tents have been designed in a colonial manner because of the Raja Maharaja legacy that we got from the Britishers.
Yeah.
And then continued by the Rajasthanis extremely well. Beautiful tents they set up. We came up with a contemporary version, a very Philip Stark design kind of tent, which is very contemporary and extremely sustainable. So no wood used, 0 wood. But it looks like wood. It was fiber cement boats.
Okay.
And we set up the first 30 rooms. That was glamorous camping we did in 2009-10. Since then we set up Data Resort, which is the world's first luxury military theme resort. And we set up the next resort over there with the glamping theme and upgraded the luxury even more.
Wow.
So every room comes with a jacuzzi, every room comes with a steam cabin, a dual vanity, and extremely luxurious. These are 450 square feet, so they are 5-star plus luxury standards.
For camping.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the middle of the forest.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to go into a small break now, Jimmy. Just one question before I go into that. You're very obviously in the business of luxury.
Yeah.
Okay, so that thing has been established so far in our conversation. In general, how do you see this, this luxury sector or whatever you call it, industry, products related to that? How do you see that going forward? You know why? Because one segment, one school of thought says that luxury is recession-proof. Whatever happens, that these people are so rich in life that they'll do what they want to do. Okay. Another says that, actually they might be the most prone guys because when the market goes down or when the economy slows down, as I think the last few months have kind of shown us, they kind of tend to go back a little and your entire demand comes from there. You don't do anything for the middle class, for mass, affordable, whatever you want to call that. You focus on only one and one. So you're among the best guys and now you're all over India. What's your take on the luxury demand, luxury sector, rich people in general, in India, by the way?
There's two ways of looking at it for me. One is I'm a firm believer of brand Bharat and brand India. I'm mad about it to another level. I'm extreme. 77 years of India's freedom. This is 78th year running. India has not created one consumer-facing, high-end design luxury brand in the world. Not even one. Consumer-facing. Ek bhi nahi hai.
I can't think. I could probably put in a Taj or something out there, but
Yeah, it's Taj is more services.
Yeah.
Right. I'm talking about product consumer facing.
Yeah.
And LVMH, a Dior, a Gucci, a
Oh,
Armani,
yeah,
a Fendi.
yeah.
I'm not just saying fashion. I'm saying any
Anything,
uber luxury brand. Right. Indian supply fabrics, garments, textiles, everything at the back end.
even software.
Front end, everything. They do a genius, aluminium. I mean, they do a genius job of it. But when it comes to front end, high-end design, Indians are nowhere there. I aspire to create that brand. That's the madness on my head because I believe Indians have a herd mentality. मैंने एक ने वो तोड़ा, I break that glass ceiling once. 100 more from Delhi will follow me. And then Maharashtra and all over India. And that is going to change the dynamics of a country. Indians should be in high-end luxury. Why not? Traditionally, Raja Maharajas they were patrons of luxury. They were patrons of arts. They were patrons of science. And somewhere down the line, with the British Raj, we lost that edge. The Rolls Royces were being ordered by the Maharajas. They knew what Laliks of the world stood for. They knew Christopher. They knew every brand couldn't. Best customers were Indians.
Yeah.
Right. It's history.
Yeah.
I think we need to now get back into that space, and that can do so much good to this country. To get out of that mindset of Indians being the cheapest consumers. Right. So that's one. Hence, I believe we need to do everything within this zone.
Sure.
Like you said, we understand this zone. And India itself as a captive luxury market, there is no looking back for the next 10 years. Prime Minister Modi is talking about 2047 and we are talking about, so next 25 years there's no looking back. The more you grow in luxury, the more captive consumption India will offer you, and the more Indians offer you, the more global markets will offer you. So it's you got, the world is your playground. And which better position can you be where your captive markets give you a good line of sight to business? The global markets are there, but if the global markets crash, your Indian markets are going to be rocking. India is a I mean, there's no brainer story. It is a rocking luxury market, and it's going to be bigger than the biggest opportunities. So for me, luxury, I'm all in, and if I can do this for my country, I think the purpose of my life is served. It's done. It's over. That one luxury brand going out of India that globally people recognize at par to the Italian brands, at par to the American brands, and take the name of with respect of that brand. Yeah. I know 100 more Jimmy Mistrys are waiting out there to go there, do that. And that's I'll promote and support every one of them.
That's what keeps you awake in the night and in the morning.
It does. And all the time. We worked very hard on it.
And it shows. Jimmy, let's go into your group, the businesses, the various businesses that you set up. I see that you make everything from pins to pianos, 5,000 plus global products, 16 product lines, if I've got it right. And I think from the time that I read this to now that I'm saying this, you might have added a few more here and there also. But could you just help us understand, an overview, because you're going to be going into an IPO soon, so you must have.
Let me give you where I come from. So it's not about sab bandar ka vyapari and trying to do everything. And it's very simple. We've been traditionally in the business of turnkey interiors. Right from 99 onwards, we've been focused on turnkey. What does turnkey entail? Anything that you touch within the interior is done by you. We started doing this better and better and bigger for brand after brand after brand after brand. So Kingfisher was set up by us right from the first aircraft onwards. Bajaj Auto headquarters was done by us, so on and so forth.
So when you say set up, you mean you walk in, design the entire place, execute it and come out?
Yeah. We understand the management's brief, and after that we value it to the brand.
Okay.
And that's what increased our management bandwidth from dealing with some of the largest brands, and then how do you do an all-India rollout, and how do you bring multiple offices into one. So we designed Ad Factors, India's largest PR agency, the whole building, India Infoline, the entire headquarters, so on and so forth. Multiple, about 250 brands. So we were already doing that. I was already manufacturing my lights because I wouldn't get what I wanted. So I would make my own lights. I would assemble my own office chairs, right? Okay. Of course, furniture we were making in our own factory. Tiles, we went to the suppliers in Morbi and said, this is okay. This is my design. I want it identical like the stone, and this is the graphic. Let's do it. Can we use an Italian glaze and do it? So we were already tinkering with products for the last now 28th year in operation. We decided there is a lot of scope. If we just take a step back and not get, not extend our bandwidth for designing projects, let people design. We will design concepts and supply these concepts. That's how was born the idea in 2013.
Okay.
People say any good concept takes 5 years to set up. Let me tell you, in my case, it's taken me, this is my 11th year. Wow. 2013, I kind of tapered down my commercial projects of clients, and I said, I'm going to start designing products and concepts. Since then, we've been at it, and hopefully 25 is the big year for us when we are actually launching all of this.
Okay.
Then we started exploring in products and say, okay, what are the Italians doing right? And since my background was already Italy, what are the Americans doing in High Point, North Carolina? How can we sell in America? How can we sell in Italy? So we started creating products, and we've innovated some of the products for the first time in the history. Entire boardrooms, no matter what length, we make them go up and down. So your workstations go up and down. Nobody's executive chairman's cabins go up and down, and no boardrooms, conference rooms go up and down. We've designed automation to actually take tables. So now boardrooms and conferences, people can stand and work and sit and work together.
Okay, yeah.
Because conferencing goes on 8 hours, 12 hours in a row, right? So these are the innovative products. Thanks to me setting up another business of mine, Della Leaders Club, I've got an exposure and a base in New York and a base in London now and a base in Dubai at DIFC. We got to meet some of the biggest architects and designers in the world, ran these products to them, and they said, yeah, something like this doesn't exist. How can we create a confluence of designer, fashion labels, brands? And so Pin to Piano came about from there.
Okay.
And now that we've been developing these product ranges, we've been developing the tech stack to showcase the first D2C platform where we're going to disrupt a lot of things. This is the big one that we're working on.
Okay. If you can just give up a breakup of your revenues, as in just for our audience to get a size of where you are today, 20, 25 years down the road.
So this year, top line, we should be at Della Resorts and Adventure. We should be doing 200 crores with a 70 crore EBITDA.
Okay.
That should be the March balance sheet. Whatever valuation it throws up in terms of multiples, it throws up based on next year's EBITDA. We are adding, we've already signed up 2 townships where the work should begin, and we are adding 4 more. So before we go into a pre-IPO, we'll be having 6 townships. Whatever EBITDAs come in from there will be added to the balance sheet, and at that valuation, we'll divest some small equity and then go in for an IPO.
Okay. This is the only business, and
this is the hospitality
linked to
business.
it? Or there's something else?
This is separate.
Okay.
This is separate. The production division and the design division I've spoken to you, where I've taken 11 years to set up, there is a certain amount of debt on it.
Yeah.
And we are quite confident the first year onwards when we go into a rollout. Today with the business shut, we did, I think, about 27, 28 crores with the business shut.
Wow. Okay.
So when we go into a rollout, I think we should target in the next 2-3 years to cross 1,000 crores in the luxury segment. We are already geared for it. So there is no 2 ways. I'm not blinking an eyelid on that front. Plus the townships, where our JV townships are, would be another alternate cash flow coming in, because that's real estate, hospitality combination together, and it's villa plotted development. So comparatively, and the land comes as JV, where you're not investing in the land. So it's comparatively, capital investment is reduced a great deal. Developers are seeing a lot of value that we bring. It frees up their bandwidth. So their land, their investment, but the entire bandwidth, and we deliver value and commit to a 30% on sale incremental if Della brand is involved. So I think we have our hands full where we are headed. On the manufacturing division, going public, we have a lot of unique products and 16 brands we are creating. We are going to come up with Della paints. We are already talking with an Italian collaborator to do it. I think there's a lot of value over there. At the right point in time, once we go into operation, then we'll look at a serious P coming on board.
Okay.
And divesting. We already have over there a small investor on board, which is Mr. Sunil Singhania, Abacus Capital, in that division. I look up to him as a friend, philosopher, guide again. To me, he's got wealth of knowledge on the equity side, and especially listed equity. He's a genius. So I'm quite stable, and I love to join hands and bring people who I look up to. So there's a mutual admiration, and these are all lifelong relationships. I don't think I'm somebody who's going to get into a relationship with an investor and look at it as a short term. For me, everything is long term. Friendship, relationship, clients, employees. Even in hospitality business, some of our employees are the oldest. Right from the day one we started Adventure Park, the boys are still there.
Wow.
The restaurant we started is still there. Camp Della, the manager is still our. So we love to hold relationships very, very important as a part and parcel. My truck drivers have a direct mobile number, and if anything happens, the first person they call is me.
Wow.
Even today, 2,500 employees, but all my truck drivers speak to me. It's just, it's their comfort. Why would I, even if I'm scouts for time, why would I not give them an access? Some of our clients are our dearest friends. And some of their first offices like India Infoline for Nirmal Jain was done by us. And even today, his current office and headquarters is being done by us. So all clients and relationships. Sanjeev Bajaj has done a great deal of good Bajaj Finance. When I did Bajaj Auto, I made friends with him. And in real estate, when I needed capital, Sanjeev went backwards to help me, guide me. And so, relationships are the make it or break it. People say it's the employees that make it or break it. I'm saying, can we expand that employees? It's not employees. It's relationships that make it or break it. And one more thing that I would like to add is, in the worst times, it is only these relationships are the reason why you come out of the worst days.
I want to just go a little bit more deeper into this thing that you said about relationships, because I feel that's pretty important. Pretty much all the CEOs that I've spoken to have always said one thing. They have this one thing in common, that once they reach that position, it's not about their engineering skills or technical skills or coding skills or financial skills. It's basically how good your relationships are with the entire range of stakeholders.
Absolutely.
Not just suppliers and creditors and bankers, but pretty much everybody. And that's what really takes people through. You think that these relationships ultimately also speak of you as a person rather than just being transactional? See, because everybody knows मतलब ही दुनिया है. मेरा आपके साथ पैसा बना, आपका मेरे साथ पैसा बना, सब खुश है.
वो काम का वास्ता है, agree. But relationships work beyond that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to
It goes beyond that.
Talk a little bit more about that, Jimmy.
I can give you examples after example. Like I said, Sanjeev Bajaj, he helped me to kind of, the fourth phase of Della Villas wouldn't have come up without his help. So at different points in time, each of these, I spoke about Malia Saab, had nothing to do with me. And it's a relationship and the emotional connect at some point in time. Today also, globally, when we are working in New York, it is a relationships, because your brand precedes you. Some of the biggest people in the world, you get to meet because of the relationships. And they respect you because of the relationship. So it's all relationship based. I think transaction is a byproduct. People who get into relationships with a pure transactional attitude and have nothing more to offer, suffer at the end of the day and make their brands and companies suffer. You lose nothing if you're honest, straightforward, and you give that friendship hand to somebody. What is the risk you run? He might let you down. He might still treat it as a transaction. That's his lookout. Your lookout is you are giving him that extra over and above the transaction. And so every Della Resort guest, we give that extra over and above. Every time a wedding family comes and meets me, please take care. I just tell them, look, boss, treat it like your property. It's your big day. We will bend backwards and do everything. You stay assured. And that assurance means so much to them. It's not a fake assurance. A wedding day or a function like that is a lifetime, once in a lifetime day. And on that day, if anything goes wrong, they'll never forgive you. But everything goes right, they'll never forget you. So you build those bonds with unknown people because you genuinely mean it. You think on behalf of their brand. So when you design a brand, you will assign to just an interior, but you actually try and think on behalf of their brand, which nobody else does. And they appreciate the value that you bring. You created an experience center for somebody. I pen down values of so many organizations.
Very interesting.
So, you extend the scope of that transaction, product or service, and that creates your brand.
I'm assuming that's also an invitation to our audience to check out Della.
They're welcome. Come.
Okay. Cost centers, right? Because you're running a business which is consistently raising itself to very high standards. It's not going to come cheap. Okay. And you've been around for a long time, so you've obviously learned your lessons as well. So what are your major cost centers, right? And I'm assuming you're profitable. You would be profitable. That's why you're going for an IPO. What are the margins on which you operate, if you can tell us that?
So our EBITDA percentage would be as of the next year onwards, we should go to from 35% to 38%.
Okay.
In the past, we were at 30%. Because some of the rooms that we designed and created didn't go into operation because the interiors didn't finish. That kind of creates the expenditure is done, the cost of capital is being incurred, but the revenue didn't come in. But now I think so we should be looking at 35% this year.
Sure.
March balance sheet should close at that. After that, there's a scope to raise it.
Okay.
The biggest cost is definitely cost of capital. And the second, the biggest cost is, of course, manpower. There's nothing, and manpower costs are pretty high. There are different ways of calculating manpower costs. You may show you're very lean and everything else is on contract. Your security is on contract. Your maintenance is on contract. We are a little foolish, but we are long term. For us, even the truck driver is on the payroll. The water tanker driver is on the payroll. The gardener is on the payroll. उसमें सबका भला होता है. And you get a tremendous amount of satisfaction because you're not just running a business, you're running the entire town. And practically, so I think about 1,100 people from Lonavala, Khandala work for us in nearby areas.
Wow.
So 1,100 families.
Yeah.
And that's a huge responsibility on the shoulder. But it's a matter of pride also in terms of personal satisfaction. And because we do things, we are very agile.
Yeah.
We are very innovative. None of these things would be possible if you just focus on cutting costs. Also, there are ways to cut costs. You don't cut costs at the cost of quality. For example, food ingredients, you can easily do it. Sasta masala le lo, sasti lal mirchi le lo. I am the one who's actually from day one, the DNA of the organization is we only want to use branded products. So the idea is not to support local, but to bring in quality in an industry which is devoid of quality. Because consumer never goes to a restaurant and turns around and says, what brand of oil or what brand of rice? Brand to हमारे धंधे में होती ही नहीं है. It's only the compromise of सस्ते में सस्ता mutton, सस्ते में सस्ता chicken, सस्ते में सस्ता paneer. You cannot run an institution if you're not going to put your own family up front there. Am I happy if this food is being consumed by me and my kids? Am I happy if my family consumes? If I'm okay with it, that's a brand I approve. So from that point of view, you deliver value to your consumers. There are better ways to optimize, increase efficiency by running things in-house. In the short run, it looks like an overhead. But in the long run, definitely you'll be much more cheaper than anything that's outsourced over and above.
When I hear this, it sounds very different from the normal thing that you would hear from an Indian entrepreneur, Indian businessman who talks about jugaad, cost cutting, managing your costs, and because India mein people don't pay, so I have to run this very
it's short term.
Yeah.
Very, very short term.
How do you manage this, right? Because your margins speak to me more from a revenue angle than a cost angle. But here you're telling me that even on the cost, you don't...
I think the strongest brands you can develop is word of mouth. So let me give you an example. You mentioned about two brands before. One is Ambivali and one is Lavasa. Both these brands blew a hole in their pocket creating the brand and advertising and marketing costs. Both of them.
Okay.
Huge amounts were spent.
Yeah.
Today, Della is a brand as recognized and more, and we've not even spent a fraction on our branding and marketing.
I don't think there's even a hoarding on the highway.
Hardly 2-3 hoardings are there. Nothing
I'm
much.
saying that even if I go on the internet, there's no ad. There's no...
We are there a little bit, but we do a roaring business online. Our monthly business online is about 4 crores.
Okay.
Is what we do online. So that's out of our overall kitty, just monthly. You create strong brands by having certain non-compromise formulas. And that really, really works in your favor. Of course, in the short run, it sounds, मैं transport outsource कर दूँ सस्ता हो जाएगा. But in the long run, how will my employee feel? पहले ही शहर छोड़ के लोनावला जा रहे हैं. कोई दिल्ली से आता है, कोई बेचारा कहाँ से आता है, कोई फरीदाबाद से आता है, कोई साउथ से आता है. Least you do is provide the banda a air-conditioned staff bus. That makes a world of a difference. You can't do much. You provide him a fancy cafe where he can see the food being cooked in front of his eyes. So we have a display kitchen. Guest के लिए कम है, staff के लिए ज़्यादा है. So our staff cafeteria has got a whole glass. There's an auto roti making machine. 700 chapatis get made every hour. Okay, let the person feel he's sacrificing something for from his life, but he's getting something from the company. All these things matter.
Okay, let's wind down the episode, Jimmy. What are your future plans? I think you've got like tons and tons of them. I just feel that you've got
too many things happening. Constantly, I've been badgered by my friends and people who I take guidance and opinions from, and their opinions matter. But I do the opposite. They always ask me to focus on one business and do it really well. And I'm telling them that, look, my businesses are associated. They are all ancillary. They are luxury, they are food, they are beverage, they are adventure, they are building, interiors, products. It's all associated to me. It's the same thing. So we have lots of plans.
Okay.
Very quickly to state a couple of plans that we are launching. One is to launch Della townships, which we are starting. Pune is the first one, and then we are doing Goa, and then we are doing a couple of other townships across India. As many as we can wrap up on a DM model this year. We are scaling up our organization for it. So that's big. Della branded residences being launched. That's huge for us. The product division that we've been working for the last 11 years and our showroom that's coming up. To launch India's first meta luxury brand on a global platform. That's a huge tall order. How do I make noises in the global industry of design and get recognized for it? We are also launching the world's first collaborative design platform, where we partnered with the biggest architects and designers in the world. We are launching them, 20 of them in India. And the idea is, again, not to get Gori Chamdi here, and that's not what we are looking at. We are looking at upgrading. Make in India can only be successful if you design in India. And how do we upgrade overall design quality per se across the country? Unless you don't collaborate with the global design studios who have done works for the biggest of brands, and then we collaborate with Indian designers, it makes a game-changing moment in Indian design industry. So these are the three big things. Launching all of them is huge, but all is happening in 2025. And we are hoping to finalize a merchant banker and look for a pre-IPO fund, divest a little, and then go in for IPO.
Look forward to that. I was just talking to you before we started the recording about someone who turned out to be your cousin. I was just telling you that last time that I had him on the show, I expected a conservative real estate builder to come, and I don't know if Baman is seeing this, but what an episode that was. You're doing some work with Baman and Rani of Rustam.
He's a sweetheart. He's a rock star. He's one guy I idealize and I look up to. I love the way he's set up the brand Rustamji, and I love the way he's set up now in the automobile segment. Yazdi and fulfilled his long cherished dream and got Java and got BSA. I think there are these are the kind of entrepreneurs where the future of India is secure when you look up to them. And what a fantastic job he's doing for the real estate industry by serving as a Kadai chair. So he's just not running behind his own brand, but actually contributing back to the fraternity that has given him this brand.
Amazing. Any other entrepreneurs in India that you look up to? I've realized that Baman is one of them, I'm assuming, but anybody else that you really admire and look up to? Thanks
to my design career, I've had up close and personal relationships with many entrepreneurs, because when you design a corporate headquarter, you become friends. There are lots and lots of people who are super achievers. Madan Bahal being one of them at Factors. What a brand he's created, and he's a champion and a leader. Of course, Nirmal Jain in the world of finance, India Infoline, Sanjeev Bajaj, Rajiv. He's in my kind of category of entrepreneurs in India.
Is he like as in unfiltered face to face as he is on screen?
He's a outright humble, simple human being, and there is so much to learn from him. It's unbelievable. I wish I could be half as calm as Rajiv is. So that's him. There are many entrepreneurs who I come across every now and then who've created. I respect people with the contributions they've made and touch human lives. So for me, my whole measure of success is how many human lives you've touched. Because at the end of the day, kal jab mar jayenge to ek hi cheez rahengi, is how many lives you've impacted. And that's the true measure of success.
You've given me a great lead to walk into the final part of our episode, which is our 3 fun questions. The human level. What drives... The first question is that. I have 3 for you. First, what drives your business at a human level, since you spoke of that?
Supporting as many people and impacting their lives and careers. They should be able to get a tear or two in their eyes when I pass.
Wow.
So that's my 1-point agenda in life, to make sure that touch as many human lives. You do it selflessly. There should be no selfish ulterior motive. you do it selflessly. How can my driver graduate to become something else, and how can my assistant become a management person, and how can my gardener become a manager and a supervisor? And so the growth mindset to be given to human beings and people around you, everybody's lives whom you touch, I think that gives me my ultimate satisfaction. Someday I have decided I'm going to give up my commercial world the day I feel I've kind of impacted, and then get into social impact. Okay. I'm completely made out like that. And for, like I said earlier, for me, Brand India is genuinely something I believe in, contributing to our country in the best possible way we can, non-commercially. Yeah. So does it mean I'm becoming a politician? No, I'm not. It's a service to the country. There's so many things that one wants to do, but because you're commercially involved in business, you're not able to do. Yeah. The minute this part is over, then you can cause disruption across.
Sure. And may God bless you with a very, 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 very long life, given the kind of people that you...
Impactful life. I don't want a long life. May God bless me with an impactful life.
Okay. 3 biggest mistakes you've made in your business.
Too many of them.
Okay.
There are 300 of them, not 3.
Let's just go for top 3.
I'm always out of money because I'm always investing.
Okay.
Not in a good way. Yeah. Never in a wrong sense of the word. My conscience always prevails over it. So that's one. 30 rooms become 125 rooms. By the time you'll end up paying that loan, you're still borrowing money to get 175, 180. You constantly want to grow. Constantly want to grow our manufacturing setup, and not just showrooms in India, but I wish I can have the liquidity to be able to go ahead and put up a showroom in New York and London simultaneously, and Dubai, to take these products, again, brand India on a global platform. So, these are the mistakes that we do. But over and above these, I think there's nothing like a mistake, because everything is meant to teach you something.
Interesting.
As far as you let your conscience prevail over everything.
For someone to have so much of faith and belief in human beings in general, and of course in your own employees, it goes against this mistrust that Indians are supposedly supposed to have. Okay. Have there been any experiences in your life that have brought you to this phase of genuinely trusting people, which I assume you do to some extent, because only then will you want to give back. Nobody who doesn't trust people would want to give back or even care a damn. So obviously at some level, you believe in people. Okay. What has driven this thing in you? Because it's easy for people to have 2 or 3 mistakes with other people in life. Some banker or supplier or creditor, किसी ने तुम्हारा काट दिया, and you just become very anti this. What do you think about that?
काट दिया उसका प्रॉब्लम है, वो हमारा प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. Very simple.
You don't hold that.
It's a go-giver attitude. You kind of you are larger than that. Very early in life, a gentleman by the name of Rustam Tirandas has impacted a lot of what I believe in.
The Mumbai politician.
Yes. Yeah. He passed away, unfortunately. He was again a friend, philosopher, guide to me. Okay. We were on our way to New York because he was trying to help me in business to set up and bring orders from there through his connections. We stopped via Milan, via Rome. So those days Alitalia was Bombay, Rome, New York. Morning, evening flight. He says, let's go and see the Vatican. Okay. So me and Rustam went to see Vatican. Those days, no mobile phones. We hired a taxi, left the suitcases in the taxi, and Rustam had the guts in the most chore city in the world, Rome, to trust an unknown taxi driver. We went inside Vatican and I knew कि जब वापस आएंगे तो suitcase भी गया, taxi वाला भी गया. I was sure.
Passport सब.
नहीं, passport तो हमारे पास थी. Suitcase गया, सब कुछ गया. And those days गया means there was no way to get it back in any which way. To my utter shock and surprise, when we came back, the taxi wala was also there and the bags were also there.
Wow.
So that incident has never left me. His ability to teach me to trust an absolute unknown human in an absolute unknown country. And I think that conviction in his eyes and the ability to trust a person whom you should have never trusted in the first place. Yeah. That taught me that you can trust anybody. And yeah, you have a run a risk. You may be let down once, twice. That's his problem. It's okay. Amazing. I mean, but the positive side is 97% of the people are not going to let you down.
Sure.
So that has always stayed with me.
Okay.
And his learning and teaching has never gone away. So I believe in kind of trusting people. Begin my relationship with that premise, and then आगे चल के देखते हैं क्या होता है.
Very interesting. In fact, this gives me the lead into the last question, which is your advice to young entrepreneurs. I think one thing you already said, which is people, but anything else out there, And Jimmy, I'm going to ask you this with a bit of a footnote out here, because today the way kids or young people approach entrepreneurship is in this very Shark Tankish kind of way, right? Because we want to build, we want to run. Okay, build, sell, chalo, aage chalo, next. Very rare people like you who stand to make an institution, which you have as I can see.
Grace of God.
What's your advice to young entrepreneurs who are watching this episode right now?
To anybody, not just young entrepreneurs, I think all entrepreneurs, make your life purposeful. I think most people, towards retirement, they think of purpose, and post-retirement, by the time it's too late, they think of a purpose. They think purpose abhi sochna hi nahi hai. I think your life is wasted. Each day on earth, if there's a purpose, it gives a whole different meaning to you and making money. Making money is a byproduct. You are purpose driven. You want to disrupt an industry. You want to help your country. You want to change your society. You want to change your city. You want to do something. There is a purpose. All businesses, what is the problem you're trying to solve and what is the purpose behind it? So if they just align the purpose very early on in life, I think their lives will be far more fulfilled, whether they are successful, even if they're unsuccessful.
Sure.
They'll serve that purpose to some extent. And that gratification of serving the purpose is much more than just plain simple making money. So that's one point advice is to build a very strong purpose and a genuine one, not something that sounds fancy on a piece of paper or on a wall. You need to be honest and true to yourself. And if making money is your purpose, then please write it. Making money is your purpose. At least you're honest about it.
Okay.
You don't do it in the disguise of something else, right?
Dhanda pani ke side pe?
Deliver more than what the other person is expecting.
Okay.
There should be always something extra from your side in any relationship. So once you put that, the person is going to be grateful to you and is going to come back to you.
Where do you draw the line between being brash and being conservative? Because both of them are, you need to wear both hats. You can't just be brash all around, and then you can't be conservative all around.
At times you need to be brash. At times you need to be slightly conservative. But again, it's people's perception. Your being brash is his perception. Right. It may not be the truth. Like, perceptions are very different from reality. You know best what is in your gut and you know what your capability is. Size it properly. Size the problem also properly and size your capability also properly. Because either which ways, if you overestimate, you're going to go fall flat. And when you fall flat, a lot of people are also going to fall flat along with you. So that enormous responsibility is on your shoulders.
What pulled you through the dark times? Okay, because today's generation, the way that they approach, and we know that all businesses, all entrepreneurs go through tough times. Okay, sometimes things are not going right, whatever it is.
All the time things don't go right. These days, sometimes anything that can go wrong goes wrong.
Okay. What pulled you through? I mean, what's your message? I don't know what's your thing.
The only thing that has pulled me through is, apart from the support of my close people, is prayers. I'm a highly spiritual person. Across religions, not just Parsis. I believe in any and every god, from the church to Hanumanji to Ganpatiji to Siddhivinayak Mandir to everything. So I think prayers are the ones that helps you pull through, gives you the power. It always sends some angel sent by God in some form or the other. And they keep coming and going. But I think any human being with a high spiritual quotient will always be empathetic and will always kind of come out of issues, get that extra one bit compared to the competitor.
Yeah, amazing. I don't get such entrepreneurs who are a mix of such optimism, spirituality, and this entire belief in India that's been a recurring theme in this episode. You're just this very unflinching conviction that India is the place to be and you want to really make a difference.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. On that note, filled with positivity, enthusiasm and drive, of course, folks, do check out Della Resort. Check them out on the internet, check them out in person, and I'm sure that you will be at least assured of an unforgettable experience, right?
Thank you. Pleasure speaking with you. Jai Hind.
That's a wrap on this episode of PaisaVaisa. My guest, Jimmy Mistry, the man behind Della Resorts, Data Resorts. Thank you so much for doing this for our listeners. Thank you.